They called him a failure, a has-been, a man whose time had long passed. He was rejected, dismissed, and laughed at more times than he could even remember. And yet, this is the man who would go on to change the world of food forever. This is the incredible, almost unbelievable story of Colonel Harland Sanders, the man who founded Kentucky Fried Chicken KFC at an age when most people are hanging up their hats and retiring. His story doesn't start with privilege or a silver spoon. Quite the opposite. Born in a tiny, humble farmhouse in Indiana back in 1890, Sanders' life was a relentless series of struggles right from the beginning. Tragedy struck early. When he was just 6 years old, his father passed away, suddenly thrusting immense responsibility onto his small shoulders. While other kids were out playing, young Harland was in the kitchen, learning to cook for his younger brother and sister, taking on the role of a caretaker long before his time. This early hardship shaped him, but it also cut his education short. He dropped out of school in the 6th grade to help support his family. From there, his life became a blur of odd jobs, a constant hustle just to make ends meet. He was a farmhand, feeling the sun beat down on his back day after day. He worked as a streetcar conductor, navigating the busy city streets. He toiled away as a railroad worker, laying tracks and breathing in coal dust. He even tried his hand as an insurance salesman, knocking on doors and facing rejection daily. It seemed like every time he found a sliver of stability, a chance to finally settle down, life would deliver another crushing blow. He was fired from jobs, went broke, and often felt the sting of humiliation. It was a cycle of starting over again and again. You can almost picture him, a man getting older, wondering if he would ever catch a break, if he would ever amount to anything more than just a collection of failed attempts. Then, at the age of 40, a glimmer of hope appeared. He opened a small, unassuming restaurant in the back of a gas station in Corbin, Kentucky. It wasn't fancy, but he had a secret weapon: his fried chicken. It was made with a unique blend of 11 herbs and spices, a recipe he had perfected over the years. And people absolutely loved it. Word started to spread. Travelers would go out of their way just to taste his delicious chicken. For a moment, it seemed like he had finally found his calling, his one true success. But then disaster struck again. The government decided to build a new interstate highway, and it bypassed his town completely. The steady stream of hungry customers that had been his lifeblood dried up almost overnight. His business, the one thing he had built from scratch, crumbled. He was left with nothing but his recipe and a mountain of debt. Now, let's be honest. At this point, most people would have thrown in the towel. They would have accepted their fate, chalked it up to bad luck, and settled for a quiet, uneventful retirement. He was 65 years old, broke, and had just lost everything. The logical thing to do was to give up. But Colonel Sanders wasn't most people. He wasn't logical in that way. He possessed a quality that is far rarer and more powerful than luck or money. He had unwavering, almost stubborn persistence. He looked at his situation, a senior citizen with a Social Security check as his only income, and instead of seeing an end, he saw a new beginning. So he did something crazy. He took his secret recipe, packed a pressure cooker, and a bag of his special flour blend into his beat-up old car, and hit the road. His plan? Drive across America, from one restaurant to another, and convince them to add his chicken to their menu. He wasn't asking for money up front. He offered to cook for the restaurant owner and their staff for free. If they liked it, they would enter into a partnership deal where he would receive a small royalty, just a few cents for every piece of chicken sold. Imagine the scene. An elderly man in a white suit and a string tie, knocking on the back door of a diner, asking to use their kitchen. He was met with skepticism, with laughter, with doors slammed in his face. He was told he was too old, that his idea was foolish, that it would never work. He slept in his car to save money, eating his own chicken to survive. He was rejected not once, not 10 times, not even 100 times. He was rejected 1,009 times. Think about that number. 1,009 rejections. 1,009 people telling him no. That's enough to break the spirit of even the most optimistic person. But on the 1,010th attempt, somewhere in Salt Lake City, a restaurant owner named Pete Harmon finally said yes. That single yes was the spark that lit the fuse. That one restaurant became 2, then 4, then a dozen, then 100. The Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise was born. That one yes grew into one of the most successful and recognizable fast food chains in the entire world. Colonel Sanders didn't find his great success in his 20s or 30s. He didn't inherit a fortune, or have a network of powerful friends. He had something far more valuable, a belief in himself and a refusal to quit. He once said, "I made a resolve that I was going to amount to something if I could. And no hours, nor amount of labor, nor amount of money would deter me from giving the best that there was in me." Today, his face is one of the most recognized symbols on the planet. He is a testament to the idea that it's never, ever too late. So if you're out there feeling like life keeps knocking you down, like you're facing one rejection after another, remember the man in the white suit. Remember that it only takes one yes to change everything. Your dreams don't have an expiration date. Sometimes the only difference between what we call failure and what we call success is simply refusing to give up. Thank you so much for watching. If this story inspired you, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more stories like this. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, keep pushing forward.